Senate Committee on Disaster Preparedness and Flooding will come to order. Clerk will call the roll.
Chairman Perry.
Here.
Vice Chair Flores. Present. Senator Betancourt. Present. Senator Blanco. Senator Campbell. Present. Senator Hinojosa. Senator Colquhoun. Senator Menendez. Senator Schwartner. Present.
Being 9 present, quorum is established.
The House Select Committee on Disaster Preparedness and Flooding will come to order. Clerk, call the roll.
Chair King.
Here.
Vice Chair Martinez. Here. Representative Bonin. Here. Representative Darby. Here. Representative Johnson. Here. Representative Lauterbach. Here. Representative Moody. Present. Representative Burdell. Here. Representative Wilson.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, today I move to limit public testimony to 3 minutes. Is there objection? Hearing none, motion is adopted. Invited testimony will be limited to 10 minutes. It's not required that you take it all, but if you need more, I assure you members are going to ask questions, and we're not shy about that. Right now, I'd like to pause, and we have a prayer to open up this committee from our legislative pastor, Scott Wall.
Please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we come to you today with obviously heavy hearts that's burdened by loss and by some questions that have no easy answers. But please help us to find the answers we need. This beautiful region of Texas, these hills, the rivers, many call home, we know have been scarred by floodwaters, and many here carry the deep ache of grief and the weight of recovery. And yet, Lord, you're not far from us in our suffering, and you're near the brokenhearted, as your word says. So today, Lord, as this committee gathers to listen, to learn, and to lead, we ask for your peace, the kind that quiets storms and calms anxious hearts. And let your spirit rest upon this room like a gentle covering, bringing comfort to those who mourn and clarity to those who must make hard decisions. And let grace be chosen today, as we have seen demonstrated so many times over the past month by those who experienced unimaginable loss. And may the words spoken here today be pleasing in your sight. May every action taken reflect your compassion, and may your presence be felt by each person in this room, reminding us that even in tragedy, or maybe especially in tragedy, we're not alone. We thank you for that. Your son, Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you for that, Scott. Little housekeeping. So, public restrooms are available by the public building at the door you entered by the green sign. So that door out, the hallway there is public restrooms on that side. There are also portable restrooms outside if the overflow is needed. Overflow seating is available through the doors next to us. Free water is available in the overflow area, and food trucks will be parked outside in the overflow areas. And maps are at the witness table if you need to kind of get the logistics of this building. I want to thank the county and TDM and all those state employees that were able to set up this hearing today and all of the things it takes to get it ready to go for the media and the connects and all the technologies available. As they always do, they did a magnificent job. With that, and one other last change, we do have one additional judge to panel. Is it panel 3? Panel 3. We were contacted yesterday that there was another area that had about 130 homes damaged. We tried to make this hearing regarding those that actually experienced loss. We've added County Judge Brian Wilson of Burnett County to the panel agenda for Agenda 3. We'll hear testimony today regarding regional leadership, meteorologists, and mental health professionals. We'll also have the public testify. I have chosen to limit invited testimony for 10 minutes or shorter so that the members can ask questions and hopefully move through the information that we desire a little quicker sometimes. We'll also observe a 3-minute time limit for public testimony to ensure that as many public witnesses as possible can be heard. We won't leave here today till the last public witness has testified. This hearing is going to be a little more emotional and a little harder than the last one, rightfully so. And what I hope that you gain from this, for those that are in those periods of extreme emotions of loss, that we provide just a little bit of comfort, that you know that we care. And I hope that it begins a healing process if you're not already in it. I hope you find some closure at some level as you leave here today. For those that are testifying as invited witnesses, we just need to know what happened, when it happened, so that we can go forward and make sure, to the best of our abilities, we prohibit life lost in the next one. There will be another flood. What we learn from this and what actions we take and what actionable items we demand, not options, out of this process will hopefully save lives in the next event. So with that, that's the goal and the objective. We're going to extend latitude today from both public members' questions, but there will be boundaries. It's not a place where you're going to throw rocks at each other or accuse each other. It's a place where we're going to try to garner information to be better for it. And we'll learn from it. And trust me, 18 members up here, we will get to the bottom of the things that we need to know about. But we're going to do it in a very respectful and ordered fashion. In any tragedy, grace and love and compassion are essential to healing and recovery. I hope we heal fellow Texans today. Chairman King, opening remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you all for being here today. As Senator Perry said, this is going to be an emotional hearing. It's going to be a really long day, and we want to hear from every one of you. But as a matter of housekeeping, please make sure that you've visited with committee staff and filled out your witness affirmation form before testifying, whether you're invited or addressing us through public testimony. As a reminder, to the committee and our visitors today, under House Rule 4, Section 13, House committees are subject to the same rules of decorum that govern House proceedings. Under those rules, the chair is responsible for preserving order and decorum during committee meetings. Outbursts or vocal displays of support or opposition from visitors in the audience are prohibited, and the chair may order the audience to be cleared if there's a disturbance that disrupts the committee meeting. Signs, placards, and other objects of similar nature are prohibited. Members of the committee and witnesses must confine their remarks to the matter being discussed by the committee. Once again, I want to reiterate what the senator said. I want to thank the county, TDM, DPS, and everybody that made this possible. It's never easy to move the capital to another city, especially one that's been through a tragedy of this magnitude. And by the looks of things, starting off, an amazing job has been done, and I appreciate it. At this time, it's my honor to recognize the Lieutenant Governor of Texas, Dan Patrick, for some opening comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to be very brief. You didn't come to listen to us. We came to listen to you. I do want you to know that on July 4th, it just so happened that Governor Abbott was out of state, so I was the acting governor. When I got the call that morning, got to Austin as quickly as we could to the State Emergency Operations Center. We call it the SOC. And we got on a plane and got here as quickly as we could. Pete Flores, Senator Flores, Wes Verdell, your representative. That day will haunt me for the rest of my life. Like you, we all feel this pain, some much more than others. Winston Churchill said, this is not the end or even the beginning of the end, but perhaps we can now move forward as we still look for one adult and one child and a police or fire chief from another county. But with this hearing, what we're hoping to learn is how do we move forward so that when an event like this happens again at any level, that we are better prepared for it, and that we've known that we did all we can. Because when you think you've done all you can, there's always something else you can do. My attachment to this community now in Kerrville will be lasting forever. The love, the compassion, the teamwork, the volunteerism that showed up that first day and the second day and the third day and the fourth day was remarkable. From the people cooking food out back to the volunteers who came and searched in those first days for life, and then the recovery mode, forever grateful. This community came together in a way that I've not seen before. And in the 10 years I've been Lieutenant Governor with Governor Abbott, we've had a lot of tragedies in the state. But this one hurts so much. So I want you to know that the Speaker and I, we've never done this before. To my knowledge, it's the first time in history a Speaker and a Lieutenant Governor have ever joined a committee going out somewhere, or even at the Capitol, we don't go to committee hearings. But we said we wanted to have a joint committee. We know it's big, means it goes longer, more questions. But we wanted you to know, and the reason we came here today, so you didn't have to come to us, because we wanted to hear from you, your leaders, and the citizens of this community and the surrounding counties. So understand, this is not the end. This is the beginning. We will pass bills dealing with the immediacy of things that we can address now, but we will be doing this in the next session and the session after that. We will not quit until we find those 3 lost souls, and we will not quit until you feel like we've done everything that we can do that you've asked us to do. So thank you for allowing us into your community. I thank the state of Texas, law enforcement, our EMS, our firefighters, the volunteers, the Navy SEALs, the military, you name them, who all came here because when Texas is in trouble, Texans stand up and support each other. So thank you. It's an honor to be here today. I wish it weren't so. I wish it were another occasion. But we're here because we want you to know that we're in the fight, and we're not going to quit until we get it right. Thank you. Dustin Burrows, Speaker Dustin Burrows.
Thank you, Governor. First, let me thank the Lieutenant Governor. He mentioned he was here on the 4th, and he's been in and out of this community, and for agreeing to partner with the House. Like he said, this is unprecedented. The 2 chambers do not come together and have hearings, and we do not do them remotely, but the magnitude of the situation warranted it. And I believe this is hopefully a testament to what we intend to do together in a collaborative fashion for this community and to address these situations. Chairman Perry, Chairman King, and committee members, senators, House members, thank you for your hard work on this and the long day ahead and long days ahead in getting it done. A couple of things I would like to mention. To those who've been invited to testify, the local elected officials, people who have firsthand knowledge of what happened in the lead-up, your candor is appreciated. Your forthrightness will be appreciated. We cannot come up with solutions. We cannot try to improve things if we don't know everything that you can share with us. So I ask you, when you're asked questions and you're testifying to this committee, please understand, the more you share, the more you open up, the more you help us understand because we were not here, the better we can do in crafting legislation to meet the need and meet the moment. But most importantly to the community, our commitment is to y'all. We're in special session. It is such important, solemn, sacred work that we will do. We will come up with some solutions, but the work will not be done. It is impossible for the state to craft legislation in this short time that fully meets everything. We will do our best. We will do some things, but our commitment is to continue beyond this session and these hearings into the next session and the session after that and continue to improve and do better. With that, I thank you for being here and your participation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I'm going to call up the first panel. Each one of them has up to 10 minutes. If they don't need it, they can move to the next one. We're going to try to get through the panel, and then we'll have member questions. The chairs reserve the right to violate that rule a little bit. If it helps kind of moving it along, we will try to set the stage. But with that, I call Judge Rob Kelly of Kerr County, Sheriff Larry Letha of Kerr County, William B. Dub Thomas of Kerr County. We've got 8 seats. Mayor Joe Herring, City of Kerrville. Dalton Rice, City of Kerrville. William Rector, Upper Guadalupe River Authority. Judge Shane Stolicek of Kendall County. There you go. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. And I still butchered, I'm sure. Judge Bella Rubio of Real County.
Mr. Chairman, if
Yes,
I may,
sir.
before we get started, members, this system works different than the one we have in the Capitol. If you touch your mic and your green light comes on, your mic will be hot at that time. So if you would rather get my attention on the House side, get my attention and send it on the Senate side, let us know, and we will write your name down in the order of asking questions. Thank you.
And with that, we'll be taking notes as those member lights come on as we see them. If your light's been on, and you might want to just kind of wave at us a little bit, but we'll alternate between members, so Senate and Rep or Rep and Senate based on the order they come up to keep it moving. I assume y'all sat down in the order I called you. If you didn't, then go ahead and state your name and your title, and you have about 10 minutes to tell us what you want us to know.
Is that on?
It's not on, so.
Chair,
There you go.
Chairman, members, thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. I am Rob Kelly, the Kerr County Judge. Before I begin my formal remarks, let me speak plainly about where this county stands today. Like most Texans, we believe in localism, self-sufficiency, and volunteerism as much as possible. Even when tragedy strikes, I am proud of our emergency first responders and citizen volunteers who acted to help the stranded and take the calls of those at risk. Since the flood, our office has received more than 100 public information requests, many from members of the press, and many others from attorneys, law firms, and investigative entities. These requests range from 911 call data to response protocols and emergency alerts. We've been busy. I understand that they are seeking answers on behalf of their clients, as they have every right to do, and we are cooperating with that. But I do want to be candid. I'm a local attorney and serve as a county judge with a very small staff. We've got one coordinator. I want the public to know that we are doing the best we can, and we will be transparent. We will get out all the facts. We will provide documentation about what the county did, how it coordinated with the sheriff's office, and what actions were taken during the disaster. We have nothing to hide, and we ask for patience as we work through this process responsibly and thoroughly. I also want to acknowledge the strength of our Kerr County community, those we lost, those who stepped forward to help, and the many individuals and organizations across Texas and the nation who offered to support in our darkest hours. To the families of those that we've lost and recovered, and to the families still awaiting word on their missing loved ones, and on behalf of our entire community, I extend our deepest sympathies. Our hearts remain with you during this painful and difficult time. Our community is still grieving. That grief will remain for a long time, but we've begun the road to recovery. Today, we gather to ask what happened, what was done, and what must be done better when disasters this magnitude strike rural counties. We are not too proud to ask for help and how to do it better. As county judge, I serve as the head of the emergency management and preside over the county commissioner's court. Like many in our county, my family has built our life along the Guadalupe River. I offer with transparency because they do not know how this county is or how the river behaves. I share these details many have asked. Where were you? Why hasn't the county been better prepared? Why wasn't there an evacuation order? My wife was at home during the early hours of July 4th while I was at our lake house preparing for a family gathering. On the afternoon and evening of July 3rd, nothing felt out of the ordinary in Kerr County. Families were arriving, camps were in session, 4th of July celebrations were underway along the river. My plans, like many others, reflected the same routine on the lake. We received no alerts suggesting an extreme weather event was imminent. For context, we received hundreds of alerts during the summer. This past July, we had over 80. My first indication that the storm was different came when I woke up to texts and calls from Chief Kidd, Sheriff Letha, and Dalton Rice. We now know that by that time, the flooding had already overtaken Camp Mystic, Heart of the Hills, and La Junta, and several other upriver camps, something I could never have imagined. This extreme weather event was not forecast by the National Weather Service in a timely manner. Based on the volume and tone of the messages, I recognized that something more serious and potentially tragic was unfolding. I quickly gathered my things and contacted our emergency management coordinator, Dub Thomas, who was en route to the sheriff's office. Together, we agreed to the disaster declaration, which went into effect verbally, and I signed when I got back to town. We are committed to understanding what happened and doing better. We stand with you with clear eyes and ready hands. Let me speak briefly about how Kirk County has come into our emergency preparedness. In fact, I'll skip over that part. We brought Dub Thomas in as our emergency management coordinator in 2015. That was our first step to try to get better prepared, and he has been invaluable. And I actually took my Citizens Emergency Response Team course from Dub. When the calls come, when the call comes, we respond. That is how our system works, through coordination and shared responsibility and a team approach among my office, the sheriff, and the emergency coordinators in the county. To better understand what happened, Kirk County commissioned an independent hydrology study from Waterway Engineering. It confirmed that this was a 1,000-year flood, and I've attached a copy of that hydrology assessment to my remarks. They're at the back, and very much worth studying. This was a storm unlike anything seen in our county before. It stalled over the South Fork watershed in Hunt and Moe Ranch, far from the population centers and in the location with very few rain monitors or flood gauges. The storm dumped more than 12 inches of rain in under 6 hours. That is not a typical for our weather patterns, which tend to move in and out quickly. This storm sat. It did not pass through. It overwhelmed the watershed. River flows at Hunt exceeded 220,000 cubic feet per second. Water rose more than 20 feet per hour. And by the time flooding became visible downstream, upstream communities, including multiple youth camps, were already underwater. This study confirmed what we saw on the ground. This was not foreseeable using today's detection systems. It was not forecasted by the National Weather Service or TDM. It was not expected by our emergency response team. And it is exactly the kind of scenario that reveals the urgent need for stronger tools, better detection, and modernized infrastructure, especially in rural communities like ours. The first 911 call to Kirk County Dispatch came from the River Inn Resort at 2:53 a.m. I don't know how many of you know where the River Inn is. It's way out there. And in that call, they were not concerned. They said the water was up on their little dam that they have for the swimming hole.
Judge, can I stop you 1 second? I was notified that the witness mics are not going through the feed. Is someone watching the feed? So Senate Committee is working on it, so thank you.
Okay. Go ahead. Okay, better? Shortly after that call at 2:53, Deputy Green checked in and shared that he would survey the river and check low water crossings. The Hunt Volunteer Fire Department started door-to-door evacuations. One deputy became landlocked. Another rushed to Highway 39 to check and begin closing that road. By approximately 3:30 a.m., floodwaters had overtaken multiple crossings. We understood that we were facing a historic event. State and federal partners soon arrived, including the U.S. Coast Guard, Texas Game Wardens, TDM, and DPS, helped us coordinate a multi-agency rescue and recovery effort. Our local responder deputies, EMS, Texas DPS, and volunteer fire departments from Hunt, Centerpoint, Ingram, and Mountain Home acted with urgency and courage, putting their lives at risk. Hundreds of rescues were carried out by boat, by air, from rooftops, trees. At the time, we had only 6 deputies on shift and limited swiftwater resources, but we acted with everything we had. Lessons and recommendations. This flood took 108 lives, including 37 children. 2 remain missing. This is the most devastating event in Kirk County history. I say the first thing we need to do is get better real-time flood detection warning systems. Kirk County's applied for multiple grants to support these expensive systems, and we would like for those to be reconsidered. Secondly, we need stronger support for the rural emergency management, including staffing, swift water rescue equipment, and more training for our first responders. Rural counties face the same expectations as urban centers, but with far fewer resources. Finally, we need stronger communications and better broadband so that we can communicate better. There is very poor cell service out in West Kirk County and virtually no broadband, And even if people wanted to call downriver and warn folks, they didn't have the ability to do it. Plus, the 911 tapped out, and when they get too many calls, it just rotates to another county, to another county. It ended up in Seguin, of all places. And so, in conclusion, Kerr is a better place, is a place of beauty and resilience, is a place we want everyone to have the opportunity to experience and enjoy. What we experienced on July 4th was sudden, violent, and overwhelming, but we responded, we grieved, and we are building. Kerr County is ready to do the work, learn from this tragedy, and with your support, be better prepared for the next time the river rises. Thank you, and I look forward to answering the committee's questions.
Yes, my name's Larry Lee Letha, Kerr County Sheriff. Chair members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today on behalf of the men and women of Kerr County Sheriff's Office, our dispatchers, our deputies, and our entire emergency response team. I appear today not only as sheriff, but as a voice for those who put themselves in harm's way without hesitation and for a community still recovering from an unprecedented natural disaster. Our deputies and dispatchers perform their jobs with courage, discipline, and determination. They responded not just professionally, but personally. Our sergeant on duty grew up in Hunt. He and his family still live in that area today. He assessed the low water crossings. He almost lost his vehicle within minutes because he was facing high water like nothing he'd ever seen before. Now, this is the same road that this deputy drives in and day out to come to work. And they did so while the ground underneath them was shifting. Since the flood, people have been asking for fair questions, and I welcome the opportunity to address them today. My goal is to provide helpful context about the conditions we faced and how the events unfolded on the ground in real time. My deputies on duty had no idea, no warning, that there was going to be a major tsunami-like event on the South Fork. I went to bed that evening on July 3rd with zero worries. We had several weather reports that shared good news. We were finally going to get some rain. We had no idea to elevate the preparedness posture with the information we had at the time. That said, one dispatcher began receiving calls from a location upriver. The deputies on duty mobilized, as we always do, to address high-risk flood zones, starting along Highway 39 and heading further west toward Schumacher Crossing. What they encountered were roads already beginning to be overtaken by water in low-lying neighborhoods. They needed immediate evacuation. In those first few hours, one two-man team of dispatchers handled 615 radio transitions and more than 100 emergency calls, while mobilizing our fire department and rescue team. They never faltered. They stayed calm under immense pressure. One dispatcher remained on the line for 24 minutes with two young children whose cabin was filling up with water. She stayed with them till the end. The other responding deputies didn't wait for orders. They deployed immediately. One was nearly overtaken at Shoemaker Crossing, escaping on foot before turning around to help evacuate homes downstream. Another went door to door through the water to wake residents who were still asleep. These homes were not over water yet, but would be within minutes. There was no time for formal orders. They were only there to move, and they moved quickly. We had multiple deputies and first responders in multiple locations rescuing people and facilitating evacuations. Our responders, fire department, used whatever they had to pull people out of harm's way. Most of our firefighters here are volunteers. Few have specialized swiftwater equipment or the proper training. But they did not hesitate, not once. They did what they needed to do, relying on their instincts and what training they had. In Kerr County, our emergency response community operates as one team. Effective responses require coordination across the board, from the cities of Ingram and Kerrville to my office, to our dispatchers and volunteer fire departments. No single individual is solely responsible for issuing alerts, monitoring our water crossing, or managing every aspect of a large-scale emergency of this matter. We rely on established procedures, coordinate established command, and mobilize resources quickly. It only works when we work together. That's extremely what we did that morning to the best of our abilities. We established an initial incident command center within the first hour, correction. Additional support from the Texas Game Warden and Texas DPS began arriving soon thereafter. I mobilized our special operations team to assist with search and rescue and to begin collecting victims. The air rescue landing zone was located at Ingram Elementary School, and we established a family reunification center at the Ingram High School just blocks away. Our team continued to mobilize and initiate additional resources. We blocked the roads and dispatch managed incoming emergency calls. I was present for Chief Nim Kidd's testimony to this committee last week. He confirmed what we knew at the time about the forecasted weather conditions. We monitored the same National Weather Service reports, and the weather locally showed no indication for worry. We had no idea that a 30 to 35-foot wall of water was going to be coming down the Guadalupe River that morning. And it came with a force, speed, and devastation that no one has ever seen before in this county. Yet no one stood still, no one waited, we all responded as one. I take great pride in how my people responded and how we pulled together under the worst circumstances we've ever faced. This was not familiar of presidents in my view. It was a test of capacity under extreme, unpredictable conditions. As we look ahead, I want to offer a few observations and actions we are already taking at the Sheriff's Office. We are already acting to strengthen protocols regarding low water crossing assessments of our deputies on duty. But more must be done to improve the ability to predict these type of fast-moving weather events. In my view, no alert system would have changed the outcome or prevented the tragic loss of life that was upriver. By the time the true danger became clear, the monitoring, our office was in full mode, rescuing residents and visitors. This is a tragic event, but it is also a reality, as we will be committed by learning from and doing everything possible to prevent this in the future. What matters is not blame, it's commitment. It's commitment to improve. As you requested, I want to share my views on areas of improvement. First, we know there is room for better understanding and monitoring upstream rainfall. We depend on agencies like USGS and NOAA, and while their data continues to improve, this event showed how quickly conditions can evolve beyond the bounds and modeling. Second, interoperability matters. Our communication system performed well, and that is part because of the investment we've made, some through grants, some through community-raised funds, to ensure our responders are connected. But we still have more to do, especially when it comes to coordinating and communicating with mutual aid agencies in the county or in our region. You have my commitment that we will improve these systems. Third, we're already taking steps to assess how we can further enhance our countywide alert system to reach more people through automated alerts, such as how the integrated the IPAWS alert system. We want to remove any potential for delay. That's within our control, and that's what we're working on. As for sirens, I know there is a question, and I think that merits consideration, especially for the dense populated regions along the river. This is a decision the entire county must evaluate. But in this specific case, particularly the Hunt area, I don't know if sirens would have changed the outcome. The water came too fast, and that leads to me the importance of educating our seasonal visitors and the youth camp operators about the importance of flash flood monitoring and knowing their evacuation plans. In many, if not most cases along the river, people need to head to high ground, not on the roads. We have too many low-lying roadways and river crossings throughout the Guadalupe Basin, especially in the South Fork, to support road-based evacuations. As we look at various solutions and areas for improvement, we also need to be honest about what works and what doesn't work, and build layered systems to reflect how people live, work, and recreate in rural areas like ours. What matters most is that we continue to improve together. We've committed to doing everything we can with the resource we have and supporting our residents and visitors in every way we know how to. We will do that while we work together to get this county and our people back on their feet for recovery. What I'd like to say personally, I'm 59 years old. I went to school here, my children went to school here, and my grandchildren are currently going to school here. My son's behind me. He's with Department of Public Safety. That's where I retired for. You know, I've been a police officer. I've been a deputy sheriff. I've been a state trooper, investigator, and now sheriff. I've seen many floods in my time. I went to many floods in my time and hurricanes. I can tell you this, I have never seen anything like this before. I don't know if y'all have had an opportunity to look, but I encourage each and every one of you to look. I flew over it first. It's nothing like driving down it. Of course, a lot of that's been cleaned up today, but it's devastating. It truly is. You know, I ask, you know, how do you prepare for something we just did? You know, we'll look at things to make better, and we'll work on that. In closing, I'd like to thank y'all for giving the resources to all your state agencies that helped us. We could not have done that without them, I assure you. I mean, it was a great help. I've been in this barn right here and showed many pigs in this barn along with my children. I've never seen the amount of police officers and first responders here, over 2,000. It was very impressive, and I thank you for that. Thank y'all.
Deb?
Chair, oops. Is it working?
Yeah, pull it up there close. There you go.
Chair, members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. My name is William B. Thomas IV. I have served as the Emergency Management Coordinator for Kerr County in the City of Ingram since 2015, and I report directly to the Sheriff and the County Judge while operating out of the Sheriff's Office. I am a certified Master Police Officer with over 34 years of law enforcement and emergency response experience, including nearly 10 years with the Kerr County Sheriff's Office and prior service with the Texas Department of Public Safety. I previously served as a Highway Patrol Lieutenant and held the role of District Disaster Chairman for the El Paso Subdistrict and the role of Assistant District Disaster Chairman for the Waco District. Since moving to this region in 2010, I have focused on strengthening emergency response across Kerr County's 1,100 square miles. As EMC, I coordinate emergency response and all hazards response planning across unincorporated Kerr County and its 2 cities. I work closely with our dispatch, volunteer fire departments, first responders, and emergency medical services. I helped with the integration of the iPause system into our Code Red public warning system. iPause enables automated alerts from the National Weather Service to be broadcast directly to all cell phones. This system has proven essential for a rural county with the highest seasonal population and no 24/7 staffed operations center. Before I speak to what occurred during the July 4th flood, I want to directly address the questions about my whereabouts that night. On July the 2nd, I worked a full day despite not feeling well. That day included a fire chief's meeting where no concerns were raised and no indications of elevated weather risk were noted beyond what is typical for this region during the summer. I returned home around 8:45 p.m. with my symptoms worsening. I had already requested and been approved for personal time off on July the 3rd to fulfill a commitment to my elderly father. However, due to my progressing illness, I remained home to recover. I stayed in bed throughout July the 3rd and did not participate in the regularly scheduled 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. Texas Emergency Management Coordination Center coordination calls. These calls are routinely followed by detailed written summaries, which were distributed to me and other county leadership, ensuring that the flow of situational updates remained uninterrupted in my absence. My supervisors and Sheriff's Office leadership were aware that I was off duty. I briefly woke around 2 p.m. when there was no local rainfall or indication of elevated risk and returned to rest. I was awakened around 5:30 a.m. on July the 4th by my wife following a call from the City of Kerrville EMC, Jeremy Hughes, requesting that I mobilize. I reported immediately to the Sheriff's Office. There was no visible flooding on my drive into the office, but it quickly became clear that the situation was escalating. By approximately 6 a.m., I was actively coordinating our county's response in close contact with the Sheriff, the Emergency Operations Center, and Mr. Hughes, working together under rapidly changing and difficult conditions. Our first responders mobilized without hesitation. The majority of them are volunteers, neighbors, business owners, and community members who serve without pay. Many had no formal swiftwater rescue training, yet they entered dangerous conditions to save lives. Their actions were nothing short of extraordinary, and I want to take this opportunity to publicly recognize their bravery, skill, and selflessness during one of our county's most challenging emergencies. I also want to specifically address the county's alert systems. The first line of notifications we rely on is the National Weather Service's ability to send geo-targeted alerts through NOAA, television, and regular radio frequencies. The complementary WEA message system, which is also activated by the National Weather Service, alerts all wireless devices in that targeted area regardless of subscription. The county took the additional step to implement the Code Red notification system, which is an opt-in subscription-based program that can be used to augment the National Weather Service for those residents opting to receive additional notifications and alerts. However, Code Red provides for limited coverage. That's why in 2020, I worked to integrate iPause into our Code Red systems as an additional tool for the EMC to manually provide further information or different alerts as warranted. During this event, the National Weather Service issued multiple flash flood warnings through iPause, which triggered those automatic alerts. As EMC, I also have the authority to issue iPause alerts manually, and I have done so in other incidents, including one the day before the July 23rd hearing for first responders in the riverbeds. However, during this incident, I did not issue an additional iPause alert because the National Weather Service had already triggered more than a dozen alerts, which all provided a similar forecast. Be aware of the potential for isolated flash flooding. Anticipate rain in the range of between 1 and 3 inches, possibly as much as 7 inches. You may ask, what does a flash flood warning by the National Weather Service prompt me as the Emergency Management Coordinator to do? In our county, we take a coordinated approach to severe weather. Each summer, we receive hundreds of alerts and warnings from the National Weather Service. Our standard protocol begins with assessing low water crossings, which serve as key indicators of rising water levels and flood risk. Those crossings are also critical routes for emergency response, making them a top priority when flash flooding occurs. The National Weather Service forecast for Kerr County did not change until after 4:03 a.m. It is also important to understand those alerts went directly to the phones of residents and visitors alike. If your phone was on and had not disabled government's alerts, you would have received them. We believe this is the best system available for a county with high tourist turnover and no constant weather monitoring equipment or staff. To those who ask, what would you have done differently? The honest answer is that, based on the data we had at the time, there was no clear indicator that a catastrophic flood was imminent. The rain fell in remote areas with limited gauge data. Forecasts were not materially different from past events that did not result in flooding. The situation evolved faster than anyone could have predicted. Still, I've spent a lot of time reflecting not just on what we can do better here in Kerr County, but what can be improved across Texas and rural, river-adjacent communities like ours. First, we must recognize and support the value of volunteer fire departments and rural responders. These are the people that show up first. They serve wide areas with little funding and limited equipment. We need to invest in their training and their tools. Secondly, we need better data. We need real-time monitoring of rainfall and river gauges, especially in upstream headwaters and watershed zones. We cannot rely solely on radar or traditional forecasting from the National Weather Service. We need systems that detect what's happening on the ground minute by minute. We've discussed these upgrades locally, but Kerr County alone cannot afford them. This isn't just about our county. The Guadalupe River and Hill Country draw thousands from across the state and beyond each year. Our safety infrastructure should reflect that shared responsibility. Since this tragedy, many have asked whether a siren alert system could have helped us respond more effectively or even saved lives. That's not an easy question to answer with certainty. It's something our county has evaluated in the past. Concerns have been raised about their effectiveness in our unique topography, especially in areas with high canyon walls and rural terrain where sirens would be most needed. There are also limitations in reaching visitors who may not understand what the sirens mean or how to respond. Let's not fear the river, but let's respect it. We must understand the impact of extreme, fast-moving weather events and prepare accordingly. We must be proactive, not reactive. And we must recognize that the benefits our region provides to all Texans come with shared obligations to safeguard it and those who enjoy visiting this beautiful area. This is a tragedy not just for Kerr County, but for all of the communities downriver, and it must be seen as part of a larger trend with a statewide response. Inland flooding is increasing in both frequency and intensity. Our policies, funding models, and planning tools must evolve to meet this reality. I want to thank the committee for its attention to this issue. I look forward to working together on ways we can improve rural response capacity, increase predictive analytics, and bring equity to emergency resources for rural Texans. Thank you. I welcome your questions.
Mayor?
My name is Joe Herring, Jr. I'm the mayor of the city of Kerrville. I want to say thank you to Lieutenant Governor Patrick, Speaker Burrows. I want to say thank you to Chairman Perry, Chairman Keene, and all committee members for coming to Kerrville to hold this hearing. I know it took time and extra effort to come to Kerrville. Thank you for your dedication and hard work to come up with solutions for the problems caused by this flood. When Lieutenant Governor Patrick told me this hearing would be in Kerrville, I was thankful. Thankful because it's important for you to be here where the flood happened, but also thankful because it's important for you to hear directly from our community about the tragedy which occurred here in the morning hours of July 4th, 2025. Here's what you need to know about our community. We are grieving. We are shaken. But we are not broken. Dalton Rice, the city manager of the city of Kerrville, will share several important things with you in just a moment. He will share the timeline of the city's response to this disaster. He will share some of the actions we took which helped save lives. And he will share some of the lessons we've learned since July 4th, things we can do better to improve our city's response when the Guadalupe River floods again. And it will flood again. My main purpose today is to join Lieutenant Governor Patrick in calling for a flood warning system to be designed and installed in Kerr County before next summer. Whether it's a series of warning sirens or an automated, data-driven alerting system, or even a hybrid of both, we need solutions in place that protect the public and save lives. Frankly, we will need your help to achieve this goal. Here's one thing I learned from this tragedy. When Kerrville and Kerr County asked for help, help came. You are here today, and we're asking you for help. Help came from the state of Texas, help came from the United States, and help came from around the world. President Trump and Governor Abbott have been focused on sending help. I will be forever thankful to the brave men and women who showed up here to rescue those in peril and to search for those who are still lost. Thousands also came to feed the hungry, to give shelter to those who lost their homes, and to help our communities rebuild. Please know that Kerrville and Kerr County are grateful. Thanks again for being here today. I know we can find solutions together.
Dalton.
Lieutenant Governor Patrick, Speaker Burrows, Chairman Perry, and Chairman King, and honorable members of this committee, thank you for being here in Kerrville and Kerr County and for the opportunity to speak. I've had the privilege to serve in the military as a firefighter paramedic, in healthcare, and now in public administration. Sadly, I've seen the toll of both natural and man-made disasters far too often. What we experienced here over the July 4th weekend will stay with our community forever. But so will the strength, heart, and resilience shown by our people. Let me begin with a brief overview of Kerrville and our emergency planning efforts. Kerrville is a full-service city of about 25,000 people located in the heart of the Texas Hill Country in East Kerr County. Emergency management is a shared responsibility embedded in our culture from city council to our frontline responders. We maintain an updated hazard mitigation plan, develop emergency action plans for large and small events, and routinely partner with the county, National EMR, TxDOT, and others. Just last year, we used the total solar eclipse as a full-scale disaster exercise. That preparation made a difference. We've also adopted strict floodplain regulations aligned with FEMA standards and recently implemented a 6-year building code update cycle to meet post-disaster resilience requirements. Those proactive measures minimize structural damage during the floods. I've included in your packet our floodplain and floodway development regulation summary, charts reflecting buildings in the floodway, the 100-year and 500-year chance for flood hazard zones, and a breakdown of how we allocated 98% ARPA funds to public safety. On July 3rd, weather forecasts indicated scattered storms with possible isolated flooding. What followed was one of the most intense, short-duration rain events in our history, western Kerr County receiving most of the rain. The flash flood overwhelmed watersheds to the west. I've included in your packet a matrix of weather events since January and a map of the 16 watersheds that impact Kerr County. Our new public safety facility is currently being built. Despite not having a completed emergency operations center, our teams were coordinated and responded rapidly. Teams began evacuations in known low-lying areas. We relocated operations to a larger joint EOC by 6 p.m. on July 4th, and within 24 hours had a unified command established with the county, TDM, National EMR, and many local, state, and federal partners. Kerrville operates the local Public Safety Answering Point, or PSAP, and received 35 calls from 0300 to 0400, 218 calls from 0400 to 0500, and 230 calls from 0500 to 0600. I've included a chart showing the call volume, and I apologize for the small print and quality. Our emergency management approach works. As you can see in the July 3rd and 4th timelines in your packets, at 2:42, patrol officers were proactively checking known low water crossings throughout the city with none reported. At 4:06 a.m., they began checking the park with no rise to the river. At 4:14 a.m., dispatch began getting overwhelmed with 911 calls, at which our teams began requesting additional resources and personnel and further assessing the situation before notifying leadership in accordance with our policy. At 4:54 a.m., the supervisor drove west to Bear Creek Crossing for an additional assessment, which you'll see in the timeline. Despite overwhelming conditions, our team saved countless lives, managed logistics under extreme duress, and maintained continuity of city operations. But I stand before you today fully acknowledging that we must also examine where we can do better. Our preparedness paid off. Structures built to our standards were elevated, engineered, and code compliant, and sustained minimal damage. But this event also showed us gaps. Additional insights will be documented in our after-action review and our corrective action plans. Aligning with the objectives of this hearing, we respectfully ask the committee to explore the following areas that affect both immediate and long-term public safety and local government operations, and look forward to working with each of you in the coming days and weeks for a viable path forward. Floodway and plain rebuilding policy, regulatory authority in the ETJ and annexation, low to moderate income restrictions tied to funding, long-term negative impacts on property tax and spending caps, radio and equipment interoperability. The following areas are areas we request state assistance on. Fund project identified in our Stormwater Master Plan and the State Flood Plan through the Flood Infrastructure Fund and other funding sources. Invest in localized predictive weather modeling to better serve rural communities. Expand the Broadband Infrastructure Fund or other funding mechanisms to improve cellular coverage in rural areas. Expand and fund House Bill 3010, which was passed in the 89th legislation, the Rural Infrastructure Disaster Fund, or other appropriate funds to help in disaster recovery. Establish a dedicated hazard mitigation fund aligned with local hazard mitigation plans. Develop automated data-driven flood and weather alert systems. And consider requiring camps in certain facilities in high-risk areas to maintain emergency action plans. It is still very early in the process, and I'm proud of what our teams have accomplished. Our people acted with professionalism and heart, often while their own families were in danger. I am proud of them, but we're not too proud to say we can do better, and we want to work with you to make that happen. We've also identified some lessons learned, even in the short time before our after-action review. We've identified areas of improvement in our dispatch center and notification processes. While critical information reached the right people, we recognize the need for more streamlined communication. A 3:34 a.m. call was transferred to the county, but we lacked the procedure to notify all personnel in flooding events across the jurisdictions. Our patrols team showed strong situational awareness, but broader communication is essential. Family communication during the event could have been faster. Although support services were in place, there were moments when families received updates through the media before hearing directly from officials. Once identified, we assigned a public information officer to provide 24/7 family communication, and Sheriff Latha and I remained directly engaged with the families. Additional insights will be documented in our after-action review and corrective action plans. Kerrville will rebuild, but we need the tools and the funding to do it right. Thank you for allowing us to share our story, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
William?
Good morning, Chairman Perry, and Chairman King, and members of this select committee. Thank you for traveling to Kerrville so that we can provide you with input during this important hearing. My name is Bill Rector. I reside in Kerr County, and I am president of the Upper Guadalupe River Authority. My heart breaks for all of those who lost their lives during this devastating July the 4th flood. I mourn our neighbors, our friends, and the visitors whose lives were taken, especially the children. One of our board members and my good friend perished in the flood trying to save others. I consider him a hero. For over 100 years, Kerr County has been a destination for summer recreation along the Guadalupe River. These activities are integral to our shared cultural heritage. However, recent events have eroded public confidence in river safety. I am committed to ensure that UGRA plays a central role in restoring that trust. We appreciate the opportunity to collaborate with you on meaningful advancements in flood prediction and flood mitigation. UGRA control, development, storage, and preservation of water and floodwaters of the Upper Guadalupe River and its tributaries. While we have always taken these responsibilities seriously, we acknowledge the need to strengthen our focus on flood prediction and flood mitigation. I have led our board of directors to prioritize and act upon these critical areas. UGRA's diverse initiatives were mentioned in testimony on July the 23rd. Today I will focus exclusively on what UGRA has done to support flood warning and flood mitigation projects. I see these as two pivotal vital aspects of flood control. I would like to begin with first flood warning. Historically, UGRA and other river authorities have partnered with agencies such as USGS to establish gauges recording stream flow rates and elevations. In fact, for the past 30 years, UGRA has contributed financially to maintaining USGS and GBRA gauges within Kerr County. Data from these gauges are transmitted to the National Weather Service, where it is analyzed and disseminated to emergency managers. It is the recognized responsibility of city, county, state, and federal emergency management agencies, not UGRA, to utilize the data we provide to inform life and property saving measures. Emergency response coordination has never been a legislative obligation assigned to UGRA. For the past 10 years, UGRA has taken numerous actions to improve flood prediction and warning. In 2016, UGRA jointly funded a preliminary study for a flood warning system. The study was used to support applications to the Texas Department of Emergency Management Hazard Mitigation Grant Program in 2017 and 2018. These grant applications were denied. In 2020, 2 years later, when the first regional flood planning groups were being assembled, the UGRA general manager was appointed to a position on the planning group and actively participated in development of the plan. This, however, never materialized into flood funding for UGRA. In 2023, we knew the clock was ticking. UGRA renewed focus on flood warning by again prioritizing in a strategic plan. In September of 2024, our board invited a hydrologist to present technology for streamlining data access for end users. Based on this presentation, we resolved further to develop a software solution to improve flood prediction and procuring additional rain and stream gauges to enhance local awareness during flood events. This concept was presented at the November 2024 board meeting, and the consensus was to proceed. At the next board meeting in January 2025, we approved release of a request for proposals to start the project. During this time, our board decided not to accept the 5% grant from the Texas Water Development Board. I would like to clarify the rationale behind this decision. When we applied for the grant in April of 2024, we had hoped for approval for at least 50% of the $1 million requested as a cash grant, intending to match it with our reserve funds. The actual offer was only 5% as a cash grant. Furthermore, we were not eligible for a 95% loan without voter approval, since repayment would have been from tax dollars. We also learned that the timeline to submit the full application, which would require professional engineering assistance, was only 6 weeks. That timeline was not feasible for us due to state procurement guidelines. We decided that this and other grant processes were unlikely to provide the timely support for what we considered an urgently needed system. Therefore, we decided to move forward using our own funds to develop a flood prediction solution for Kerr County. After a procurement process, we selected a contractor, signed a contract on June the 4th to start the project. The software solution will integrate existing sensors and create a plan for future sensors that use advanced technology. The current project will be carried forward by using additional reserve funds to purchase, operate, and maintain the new sensors. The planned system will deliver sensor data to a real-time, computerized portal accessible 24/7 to emergency managers. Emergency managers can also set alerts that are triggered by thresholds of rainfall or stream levels to direct their attention to critical values. On July the 24th, we convened the Kisters team, local emergency management officials, police, fire departments, and TxDOT to garner feedback on software design and functionality. Work is ongoing to determine needed sensor placement. placing our board's widely discussed and criticized decision in context. We are now 9 months into the development of this much-needed project, having engaged an expert firm and begun creating a reliable means for emergency managers to access critical data. Had we pursued the 5% grant, we would still be awaiting funding. Our past unsuccessful funding attempts have reinforced our resolve to move forward independently. The second part of flood control is mitigation. Since 2012, a portion of UGRA surplus funds has supported construction of 9 water and sediment control dams in western Kirk County with a total drainage area of 21 square miles and a total volume of 92 acre-feet. These structures are designed to empty between rain events, gradually releasing water to sustain river flow. However, due to their limited size, they provide only modest flood mitigation during major events. Looking forward, I consider flood mitigation as the long-term solution to the severe flash floods of the Guadalupe River. Canyon Lake Dam is well known for its effectiveness in reducing downstream flooding, despite the massive inflow from the upper Guadalupe River on July the 4th. The reservoir filled only to 68%, averting significant downstream damage. A former UGRA director and respected civil engineer has also recommended investigating the feasibility of constructing additional flood retention dams on upstream watersheds. Such dams could moderate rapid rise in river elevation, providing valuable warning and evacuation time. These structures would channel normal flows to calibrated outlets, but store excess water during high flow events. Integrated sensors would detect rising reservoir levels and relay information for immediate response coordination. These flood retention dams would not only benefit communities across Kirk County, but also downstream to Canyon Lake. The concept is proven. Texas already has over 2,000 flood retention dams, including 41 in the San Antonio River waterflood alone. Effective solutions will require substantial, expertly designed projects and significant resources. We recommend that organizations like the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers consider this approach as part of a comprehensive response to the repeated flash flood risks of the Hill Country. Finally, I will share actions I've taken since the flood that I will bring to our board for discussion at our next meeting. I would like our board to hear from Dr. Bedent of Rice University, as well as other experts to assist in refining our flood information system. You will have the opportunity to hear from Dr. Bedent later today. Our team has made preliminary contact with federal partners and asked how federal agencies like the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers may be able to support flood control projects in Kirk County. I will ask the UGRA board to dedicate $1.5 million of our reserve fund to flood control feasibility studies and infrastructure improvements related to flood prediction. You may wonder if a one-county river authority is too small to meet these challenges. I say no. Our size and strong ties to Kirk County, the city of Ingram, the city of Kerrville, and the Hunt and Centerpoint communities has been and will be an asset to our success. I hope the dedication of this select committee to finding solutions will also explore innovative approaches to these problems.
Thank you.
I thank you for being here today, and I look forward to your comments.
All right. Shane, pull it up close, please.